Hello, you sexy sat stackers. Are you ready to have your two-party or less outdoor Thanksgiving feast with no singing, chanting, or yelling? Or perhaps your approved hors d'oeuvres and drinks in the garage while you await your rapid testing? Well, fortunately, you have one more day to make up your mind because today is Wednesday, November 24th, 2021, and that means it is DCA Wednesday.
This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this podcast should be construed as financial advice. All views expressed on this podcast are solely the opinions of the host and/or any guests that we might have from time to time. Nothing on this podcast should be construed as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow a particular investing strategy.
Welcome back, you sexy sat stackers. As I just mentioned, today is Wednesday, November 24th, and that means it is DCA Wednesday. Today will be our 18th stack on this journey we began together all the way back on July 28th. So far, we have stacked $340 in $20 increments, accruing a total of 663,254 sats, which is currently worth an estimated $382. Which, despite the dip, is not too shabby. But hey, that's why we're dollar cost averaging. At the time of this recording, we are at a current block height of 711,214. Bitcoin is worth approximately $57,690. And despite the dip, we are still above a 1 trillion market cap at approximately 1.09 trillion. Whether or not you consider the market cap an important metric, many people do, and it's nice to see that we are still above that 1 trillion mark. And what a week it's been with La BitConf conference in El Salvador and President Nayib Bukele's announcement of Bitcoin City and the Bitcoin bonds that will fund it. In a groundbreaking announcement, President Bukele announced that Bitcoin City would be built on the Gulf of Fonseca at the base of a volcano, and that it would be an economic free zone, essentially, similar to what they've established in Dubai and other places around the world, with zero income tax, zero capital gains tax, zero property tax, and the only tax you'd pay is a 10% value-added tax. What an exciting opportunity. If President Bukele gets his way and pulls this off, El Salvador could very well be the Monte Carlo of Central America within 5 years. But what makes Bitcoin City especially exciting is that basically President Bukele gave the International Monetary Fund the middle finger, and instead of taking predatory loans from them and the World Bank, said that they're going to sell bonds using the liquid side chain. And these bonds, approximately $1 billion at a time, would be 50% backed by Bitcoin. They would take approximately $500 million of the bond and use it to build out the infrastructure of Bitcoin City, including new geothermal power plants at the base of the volcano and new Bitcoin mining centers. And the remaining $500 million would be used to purchase Bitcoin. The Bitcoin would be locked up for a period of 5 years, after which they would begin liquidating the Bitcoin. In addition to the interest paid on the bond, they would split any profit made on the sale of the Bitcoin 50-50 with investors. These bonds are supposed to become available in the beginning of 2022, and allegedly you would be able to invest as little as $100 at a time. Obviously, we will learn a lot more about those as it becomes closer to their launch date. But now on for the reason we're here, and that is to dollar cost average. What is dollar cost averaging, you might ask? Well, dollar cost averaging, or DCA, is an investment strategy where you invest your money in equal portions at regular intervals regardless of price. We picked Wednesdays, and we picked $20. The reason we picked $20 is that's not a whole lot of money for the average person listening to our podcast. While that might not be a lot of money for some people, it could be a whole lot of money for others, and that's a decision that you need to make yourself. Some people might want to invest a lot more. Some people might want to invest a lot more frequently. You can dollar cost average every day, every week, every paycheck, every month. The strategy is up to you. Again, do your own research, but what is important is that you pick a date, you pick an amount, and you stick to that schedule. And over time, in theory, you will do better than if you try to time the market. As they say, time in the market beats timing the market every time it's tried. As usual, we're going to use the Cash App for our stack. And the reason we chose the Cash App is because it's just really easy. The fees are relatively low. If you're making small investments, the fees aren't the biggest concern necessarily. You choose the platform that you like. There are platforms that are cheaper than Cash App, but it's certainly not the most expensive. And of course, it's not available to everybody. So what's important is that you pick a app or an exchange that's easy to use and that's trustworthy and that doesn't rip you off on fees. And again, we're going to use the Cash App. As usual, I don't have any money in my Cash App, but they make that super easy. As I have a debit card linked, I can add $20 pretty much immediately. And then we click on the Bitcoin logo on the bottom right-hand corner and click Buy. And again, they will let you automate this. You can set up your automatic DCA with them. You can even set limit orders to where if you are wanting to buy the dip or make sure that you don't miss out on those flash crashes, you can set an order that will execute at a specific price if it hits that target. But as I have said on every episode, I just like to make my purchases manually. It seems like something more tangible when you physically sit there and click enter and make the purchase. So I'm going to enter the purchase amount of $20 and click confirm. And just that fast, we purchased an extra 33,860 sats at a price of about $57,737. Again, there's that 45-cent fee. So we invested a total of $20, but really we invested $19.55 plus a 45-cent fee. And that is going to bring our stack up to 697,114 sats, currently worth $402.49, which is not too shabby considering we've only invested $360. And hey, if you are overly optimistic like I am and believe that Bitcoin's going to hit that $1 million valuation one day, then that would be worth approximately $6,974. And that is a really good return on just $360. Today's purchase also drops our cost basis to $51,641.48. So even with the dip, we are still ahead of the game. Again, it's easy to look like a genius in a bull run. This pullback we've had has certainly demonstrated that there are ups and downs in Bitcoin. But again, this is a long-term strategy. Like I said, time in the market beats timing the markets every time it's tried. We won't really judge whether this was a success or failure for at least 4 years till the next halving cycle would be fair. But if you're like me, you plan on holding those sats basically to infinity. Hopefully you joined us and began your stack all the way back in July, or perhaps even longer. But the important thing is that you get off zero. The other saying we like to use around here is that the best time to buy Bitcoin was in 2009, but the second best time is right now. And that certainly couldn't be truer with the consolidation phase that it appears that we find ourselves in. But either way, do your own research and find a plan that fits for you and start stacking those sats. Hey, if you've been enjoying this podcast and you would like to help support us, there are a number of ways you can do so. Obviously, as we mentioned, if you do have the ability to tip on Twitter and you're not already, you can follow us, and we're at BTC Bulletin Pod on Twitter. So we'd appreciate the follow. And if you have the ability, you can tip us there. Also, if you don't have the Cash App already and you would like to use the Cash App to add to your stack, there is a referral link in the show notes. And if you sign up for Cash App and follow their terms and conditions, but if you do so by clicking on that referral link in the show notes, you'll get $5 free, and we'll get $5 free as well just for you signing up. Another way is I've written several books, but the one that is most relevant to this podcast is Understanding Bitcoin for Noobs, and it's available at both Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, and obviously by purchasing any of my books, that will help support the podcast. You can also support us directly through Anchor.com, and there's a support link in the show notes. And last but not least, we also include a Base32 Bitcoin address in the show notes where you can send us Bitcoin directly if you choose to do so. And if you'd like to contact me or give us any suggestions on what you'd like about the show or what you don't like about the show, again, we're at BTC Bulletin Pod on Twitter. And you can also contact me via email at bitcoinbulletin@protonmail.com. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Bitcoin Bulletin Podcast, DCA Wednesday edition.
As usual, thank you for listening, and keep stacking those sats, you sexy sat stackers.